Hey guys, it's Troy. Don't find yourself, create yourself, okay? Don't find yourself, create yourself. So we hear a lot of talk in the self-help, self-development field about, yeah man, just find yourself. Yeah bro, you know, go to India, go to Nepal, sit on a mountain, find yourself. It's all bollocks, okay? It's all bollocks. You need to create yourself, okay? I'm much more interested these days in self-creation, and actually self-transcendence, than I am in finding oneself. Because what does that really mean? What does it actually mean to find yourself? I mean, when you think about it, an individual like me, I'm a mishmash of a whole different bunch of things, okay? Different influences from, you know, people I've known in real life, members of my family, people like, you know, movie stars, characters in movies, singers, writers, artists, historical figures. You know, I'm a patchwork of a whole bunch of different influences stitched together to create whatever my persona currently is. But the persona that I currently have, and when we work with clients these days, because dating coaching has really evolved from being this thing about, okay, we'll say these lines, you know, here's some clever verbal tics and tricks and techniques you can use, say these things in the right order and it'll all be good and you'll end up on a date with her and blah blah blah. It's really moved from that to a much more holistic process now of looking at you as an individual and looking at you as, okay, so how can you become the best version of you that's available without losing your soul in the process, okay? So when you say find yourself, it's a bit redundant, because for a start, yourself, in inverted commas, doesn't really exist as a single entity anyway. You know, you're an amalgamation of a whole bunch of different influences from different people and different institutions and experiences you've had throughout your life. You know, there's not a single element there that is yourself over and above everything else. So what are you trying to find anyway? What are you actually looking for? And the second thing is, even if you were able to find yourself, would that thing that you find really be the most effective marketing tool for you as a product? Sorry to be crude, but you know, this is kind of how it is, as a product in the dating marketplace. Would finding yourself and that atomic sort of cell that is you, would finding that actually be the best strategy anyway? Probably not. Particularly if you're somebody who's had difficulties in the dating arena for, you know, many months or many years, because if it hasn't been working for you and you've been something somewhat adjacent to yourself, then clearly that isn't setting the world on fire, okay? Which is why it's not about self-improvement, it's about self-reinvention, okay? It's about burning down, actually, the old version of yourself and creating a new one from scratch, all right? Now, when we talk about this, there are various criticisms that get leveled. One of them being, so you're telling people to be something they're not. And the answer to that is emphatically no. I'm not telling anybody to be something that they are not. What I am doing is calling into question the very idea that you are one single thing in the first place. And what I'm also saying is that there are doubtless certain aspects of your persona, of your personality, of what you put across to the world, that are more attractive than others. And what I am saying again is that you should turn up the dial on those things, okay? So for me personally, right, we talk about archetypes. We talk about stepping into the ideal archetype for you in order to make you the most attractive proposition on the dating marketplace for you personally. Now, for me, I'm an English guy of a certain build, of a certain age, you know, of a certain look, let's say. So it's not infinite. There's not this infinite number of things that I could possibly be, right? There are some archetypes that I could veer towards that would just be ridiculous for me, okay? You know, for obvious and almost comedic reasons. There are certain archetypes that it would be very hard for me to step into and say, oh, I want to be like that guy, when that guy is just completely different from me in a number of very fundamental ways. What I can do, though, and what I seek to do, and what I encourage people I work with to do, is to say, okay, so who is sort of adjacent to me, right? Who is somewhat similar to me in terms of how I look, in terms of how I speak, in terms of how I come across, in terms of my attitude to life, in terms of the way that I articulate myself? Who is somewhat adjacent to that, okay? What good qualities does that person have? What can I maybe take from that person by way of inspiration that can sharpen my game, that can sharpen my persona, that can make me come across better, okay? And then how can I take some of those things and link them in so that my persona, my presentation, the way that I come across when I approach a woman, or I go on a date, or I go to a business meeting, or I go to a social event, how can I embody some of those things without wholesale stealing or radically changing myself too much to sharpen up the marketing of my product, which is me? Because remember, with game, you've got the product, which is you. You're trying to sell yourself. If we're again being crude about this, but it's a marketplace like anything else. You are attempting to sell yourself as a romantic or sexual prospect, and the marketing is your, in inverted commas, game, but it's also the way you present yourself, the way you dress, the way you talk, the things that you talk about, the manner in which you articulate yourself, how you speak, how you groom yourself, right? The venues that you take the woman to, okay? The taste that you have, the aesthetic that you have, all of this stuff is the marketing, okay? And it's super, super important, because you can have an amazing product that is absolutely fantastic in construction and in design and in the manner in which it's been put together. But if the marketing is crap, it's not going to sell. Alternatively, you can have a product with an amazing marketing campaign, great concept, fantastically put together, but the product's not very good. And it's also not going to sell, or at least it's not going to sell in large quantities. It's not going to sell for a long time. So you need to get both of those things right. And the important thing is finding a manner in which you can present yourself that is not discordant with who you actually are, that resonates with who you actually are, and seems authentic, and indeed is authentic because it's not too far from your actual persona, but is a more souped up, more dramatic, more enticing, more magnetic version of the person that you genuinely are. That's what we want to get to, okay? Anyway, I hope you got something from this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do write a comment below, subscribe to the channels if you haven't yet done so. Give me a like, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.